Quick quiz. What is Australia's best-selling Mercedes-Benz model? If you said A-Class, C-Class or E-Class, then get with the times. Presenting the new generation GLC. Not only is it the best-selling model in the range, it's also the best-selling medium premium SUV on the Australian market. Needless to say, this re-engineered and redesigned third-generation version has big tracks to fill when it arrives in Australia next March. The big question is, should you put your order in for one right now? Let's find out. Before we go on though, don't forget, you can read my potentially award-winning review at the Cars Guide website. Because the new GLC is still months away from being released in Australia, Mercedes-Benz is staying mum on pricing. That said, like with most things in life, there's good and bad news on that front. Let's find out. Only one model will be available at launch, the GLC 300, and it will cost north of $100,000. Mercedes says over 60% of buyers of the old version chose that grade anyway, so that's what remains, like it or lump it. No cheaper GLC 200 or 250 grades will be offered for the foreseeable future, just the much faster and more expensive AMG versions from 2024. If you want a cheaper Benz, there's always the GLB, and there's no sign of the PHEV hybrids either for now. So, what's the good news? Final specs are yet to be revealed, but it seems that, like the latest C300 that was launched earlier in 2022, the new GLC 300 will be chock-a-block full of standard equipment. Expect to find electric seats, automatic parking, multi-zone climate control, remote tailgate actuation, an AMG line body kit, adaptive cruise control, a 360-degree camera, fingerprint scanner ID tech for the new multimedia system, leather trim and privacy glass. Plus, the 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine gains a 48-volt mild hybrid system to slash emissions and fuel consumption compared to before. Furthermore, you'll be able to option your new GLC with goodies like air suspension for a cushier ride, rear-wheel steering for greater agility, a new panoramic sunroof, and what might be the best LED active lighting system on the market. They won't come cheap though. Let's face it, it's really hard to tell the new GLC from the previous GLC. And why would Mercedes change its most successful model? It's what people really love about the car. So, you know, if you really take a close look, you might notice that the headlights are redesigned, the grille is a little bit more hexagonal, and moving across to the profile, the front tracks are a little bit wider, the wheelbase has been stretched a bit, the panels are smoother for improved aerodynamics, so that should also help with refinement and noise suppression. While coming to the back, the rear tracks are also wider, so that has enabled Mercedes-Benz to give the GLC a slightly stronger stance from out back. These tail lights are sleeker, they're almost a one-piece design, but my favourite piece is this dorsal fin element on either side of the rear bumper. So that's one way you can tell the difference between old and new GLC. Now, the same also applies inside because not much has changed. It's just an evolution of what came before. So let's check it out. It's also a lot like the latest C-Class. So we're talking similar larger screens in front of the driver as well as a touch screen in the center. The latest generation MBUX system, great ventilation, excellent storage, and palpably higher quality materials, and that's important. The car is also a bit longer and larger, so you get more interior space, and that's definitely not a problem for people sitting up front. Along with how superb the driving position is, the thing I really admire about the new GLC inside is how much easier and more intuitive everything is to use compared to before. It's now far less intimidating and much more user-friendly. For instance, the instrument dials within the 12.3-inch LCD display in front of the driver is an excellent example of this. With just a simple scroll of a button, it offers various completely different styles to match your mood. Our test GLC 300 here in Spain is fitted with the optional Airmatic 4-wheel air suspension system and 19-inch wheel package, and this combo makes the cabin seem quieter and more isolated than any previous iteration we've ever come across. And of course, you'll find plenty of USB ports for your devices, a wireless smartphone charger, and an improved voice control system as part of the completely overhauled MBUX multimedia setup. It's all very smart, fancy, and effective. Now, back here, you can definitely feel the difference in terms of more interior space, better quality materials like in the front, very comfortable seats, and just a general ambience of luxury, which, given that this car now starts well north of $100,000, it's probably a very good thing. And here's another good thing about the new GLC. It's substantially larger out back as a result of that stretched wheelbase. Now it has 620 litres of official cargo capacity. That's up 70 litres compared to before. And if you drop these seats, that expands to 1,680 litres. So this is almost large SUV style practical family motoring. Like the old GLC, the latest version comes with a 2-litre 4-cylinder direct injection turbo petrol engine, and that's the only one that's going to be available for the time being. It drives all 4 wheels via a 9-speed torque converter automatic transmission. The fresh advance here is the 48-volt mild hybrid system, offering an integrated starter generator and lithium-ion battery for additional power when required, as well as electric-only coasting when cruising off throttle. Therefore, although the GLC 300 doesn't ever run purely on electricity, the electrification tech certainly either brings more muscle or takes the load off the petrol engine when the opportunity arises, depending on how you're driving it. Clever stuff. The overwhelming feeling driving the GLC for the first time is how much more it feels like a C-Class sedan than the previous generation version. They're very similar underneath the skin, so the steering feels similarly light yet agile. It handles with a crisp confidence that makes you want to drive further and faster. And in this particular model with the adaptive air suspension, it certainly rides well. On these roads at least anyway, these Spanish roads, there's a nice amount of absorption and isolation to really fit the mold of a luxury SUV. In that regard, this is miles ahead of the old one. From the performance perspective, yes, this is only a 2-litre turbo petrol engine, but it produces 190 kilowatts of power and a little bit more on overboost. So when you put your foot down, it just goes. The automatic transmission has a few modes. There's an eco mode, which is self-explanatory. There's a comfort mode, which is a good everyday mode, and then there's sport mode. So in sport mode, you put your foot down, the response is immediate and it's strong. The engine loves to rev. It sounds quite determined as it goes up the rev range, and it doesn't leave you feeling short-footed or lacking in response. So it's a good fit, I think. Mercedes-Benz has tailored this car to drive like a Mercedes-Benz should. And for that reason, it really elevates this particular model compared to its previous generation equivalent. However, it should be noted that on the expected standard 20-inch wheel and steel sprung suspension setup that we're getting, the new GLC's ride comfort and noise suppression might not be quite as stellar as on this loaded European spec version. We'll have to wait and see how that transpires on Australian roads. Finally, the latest model comes with an available off-road engineering package which alters engine, transmission, air suspension ride height by 20mm and driver assist systems amongst other things to give the GLC a bit more 4x4 capability and credibility than you might expect from a luxury mid-sized SUV. It also includes the optional 4-wheel steering system that improves dynamic handling as well as round-town parking manoeuvrability, just like the classic old Honda Prelude setup from the late 1980s. Now that's cool. Final Aussie figures won't be available for a while, but with the new mild hybrid technology, expect as much as a whole litre per 100 km fuel consumption cut in the new GLC. For the record, the European version has an anticipated WLTP combined consumption figure of between 7.2 and 8.2 litres per 100 kilometres. So we're expecting big things on the fuel economy front here. Mercedes-Benz is nothing if not obsessed with safety, so you should expect a full 5-star Euro NCAP crash test rating when the results are released in the near future. With a veritable smorgasbord of driver assist technology, a brilliant new digital LED light system with 1.3 million pixels to literally turn nighttime into daytime, and one of the best surround view camera setups we've ever experienced, the new GLC should be one of the safest SUVs on the market. With over 2.6 million GLCs sold over 2 generations since 2008, it's clear that Mercedes-Benz had to get this car right. And on first evidence, here on Spain's beautiful highway system, the car certainly seems to be a huge step forward compared to before. Of course, we'll have to wait to see what it feels like back on Aussie roads, and that's still a few months away. But until then, maybe you should put an order for one of these, because it is hugely improved. Now, if you want to know more details, don't forget to check out my review at the Cars Guide website, and of course, don't forget to like and subscribe as well. Thanks for watching.